Friday, January 24th, 2025. Welcome to the morning show. As we get started, we got a few topics to cover today as far as Pete Carroll becoming a head coach, Quinshon Judkins moving on to the NFL, and person of interest or suspect in regards to the Kyrie Jackson situation. So we got to talk about a few things. We also are going to get into various other topics. So make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up. And of course, if you're new to the channel, do subscribe, click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a stream. Shout out to the Wrench Gang. Shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers as we get started. It's Friday, y'all. It is Friday. It feels good. It's cold, still cold. We got a little bit of snow. I got to get out there with the snowblower again, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm ready. It took a toll out of me a couple days ago, but hey, this is what we do. Lots of snow, lots of cold. Got to get the ice taken care of so people don't slip and slide. Speaking of slip and sliding, y'all see the videos? Listen, there's all kinds of videos. People down in the South slipping and sliding. Y'all got to take y'all time. If y'all not ready for it, just go sit in the house somewhere. Stay off them roads because some of y'all don't know what y'all doing. Y'all ain't from the North. Y'all ain't used to the ice on the roads and all that kind of stuff. So, stay off them roads. Stay safe, stay warm. And, let it warm up a little bit before you decide to venture out there because, snow and driving is nasty stuff, and ice specifically is definitely worse. So there you go. Shout out to you guys as we keep it going. Shout out to you, Ben. What up, man? Good to see you. Fuentes says Raiders. Yeah, we're going to get into it. Shout out to you, Wendy, in the building. I appreciate you. Ben says Southerners can't handle it. I agree. I've been watching the videos. It's been looking kind of crazy. Shout out to you, Big T, in the building. Let's go. What up, Dan? Good morning. All right, y'all. Let's get into our first story here. Now, I wanted to talk. We actually started talking about this topic yesterday, right? We started talking about it. We touched on it a little bit, but I want to do a little bit more of a deep dive this morning with you guys as far as the TV ratings in the NFL. So there's been a lot of talking and a lot of numbers and statistics going around as far as, the ratings going down and things like that. And this is something that I did want to touch on here as far as this specific story. I'm a little ahead of myself. I apologize. I'm a little ahead of myself. Let me go back here. All right, here we go. Says the NFL wild card round averaged 28.3 million viewers, down 9.3%. Now, this is very interesting because we know that the NFL is the cream of the crop when it comes to TV ratings. But the wild card round averaged 28.3 million viewers, down 9.3%. So let's go ahead and get into this one. It says viewer audiences for the first weekend of the NFL playoffs were down 9.3% from last year, a bigger decline than what the league experienced during the regular season. Why is that? Is the question. Why would the ratings be down 9.3%? According to the league and Nielsen, the 6 wildcard round games averaged 28.3 million viewers on television and digital platforms compared to 31.2 million last year. The 2 Saturday games held steady, while the Sunday and Monday matchups saw declines. The biggest takeaway from the weekend is that audiences have acclimated to one of the games being on streaming service. Baltimore's victory over Pittsburgh averaged 22.07 million on Amazon Prime Video. It is a record for the most watched game on Prime, surpassing the 17.29 million for the Detroit Green Bay game on December 5th. It was a 3% drop from last year's 23 million average on Peacock for the Miami-Kansas City matchup. Now let's stop here for a minute. Over the last year, the numbers have dropped. Now, I would say, personally, I'm thinking from a point of what I hear from you guys, what I see on social media. When you start bringing in the streaming services and you remove these games from an NBC or an ABC, which is readily available on an antenna or just your basic cable and things like that, you start losing individuals who are willing to pay for games on specific networks. No one wants to have to go through an Amazon or a Netflix to watch a playoff game, let alone a wild card game. Now, I don't want to give you any ideas, but wouldn't it have made more sense if you're going to do this to make it a championship game? If you're going to put it on a streaming network? Maybe you guys aren't really thinking about how it would affect the bottom line customers who pay the most attention to this sport. And some would also say that maybe the game is changing and it's not for them as well. But we'll keep it going. It says it was a 3% drop from last year's 23 million average on Peacock for the Miami-Kansas City matchup. The most viewed game of the weekend was Philadelphia's victory over Green Bay on Fox, which averaged 35.6 million in the Sunday late afternoon window. However, that was an 11% decline from the Packers-Cowboys game on Fox that aired at a similar time last year. Washington's comeback win over Tampa Bay on Sunday night, the most competitive game of the wild card round, averaged 29 million on NBC. That was down 19% from last year's Rams-Lions game. Houston's victory against the Los Angeles Chargers in Saturday's first game on CBS averaged 25.6 million, only 1% off from the Browns-Texas game on NBC last year. Buffalo's blowout on Denver in Sunday's first game averaged 31.1 million on CBS. That matched the audience from last year's Steelers-Bills game, which was delayed until Monday noon due to the weather. So I'm starting to see a trend, right? NBC was down 19% from last year. But CBS kind of, held steady. They only lost like 1%, so right about where they should be. This basically shows you that if we're moving from cable and we're getting into the Netflixes and the Amazon Prime, you're going to have people who are now losing out or not actually getting these local channels. Or they may not just want to pay attention to those teams, right? Their favorite team's out. They're not going to watch. A lot of these matchups, which we're actually going to get into, who's watching who in a moment here, will determine as far as how these games are watched and what the people want to see. So it says the Rams rout of Minnesota on Monday night averaged 25.3 million on ESPN and ABC, down 13% from last year's Eagles-Buccaneers game. The league averaged 17.5 million during the regular season, while it was the sixth highest average dating back to 95. It was a 2% decline from 2023. Prime's Video's Thursday Night Football package was up 11%, but Monday Night Football on ESPN and ABC was down 14%. Monday Night Football had 3 fewer simulcasts on ABC, which contributed to the decline. A lot of people who have Amazon maybe don't have cable, right? They got Amazon. They may have Netflix. They may not have a YouTube TV or a satellite. They may just have specifically Amazon, right? There's people who only have Amazon. They watch their movies on it. The kids watch their shows and movies on it. And then they'll catch the occasional football game on a Thursday that's being streamed. So that's why those numbers would be boosted. But I think as a whole, even with the NFL dominating as far as the ratings are down. It's down. So I think that's, going to start pushing into the narrative of the NFL increasing prices. They're not going to decrease the prices to say, oh, we need to get more viewers. They're just going to increase the prices, right, for the Sunday ticket and things like that to basically cover the bottom line that's being missed out from losing out on viewers. It doesn't go down, it goes up, right? You would think that, well, hey, maybe they'll go down in the prices to bring people back in. No. They're going to increase the prices to try and cover that bottom line. And for the people who can't afford it, you'll pay extra. For the people who can't afford it, well, there you go. So let's get into the next one. As far as the Lions are the class of the NFL and the TV's biggest stars. So who are, people watching the most as we get into this one? Says odds are Dan Campbell probably doesn't spend a lot of time thinking about his team's TV ratings, but on the off chance the head coach of the Detroit Lions needs something to regale the barista with. He's placing his tachycardia inducing AM Starbucks order. Let it be known that the number one seed in the NFC is also the National Football League's top national draw. You heard it here first. The Lions, a symbol of futility and the inherent unfairness of it all for more years than most of us have been sentient, closed out the regular season as the most watched NFL franchise. Over the course of the 10 wild and woolly national TV dates, Campbell charges scared up 22.6 million viewers per game, edging the perennial ratings champ in Dallas by some 175,000 impressions. So it's kind of switched, right? Everybody used to watch Dallas. It was all Dallas, and it's now switched over to the Lions, which is really interesting. And unfortunately, they're not in, the championship. So what happened to those viewers? Who are they watching now? It's a good question. But let's get into this. So we got Detroit Lions, who are number one with 22.65 million. You got Dallas Cowboys, 22.47 million. Then it goes Kansas City Chiefs at 22.07 million, followed by the Packers, obviously, who are now out at 21. Baltimore, the Giants, the Bears, the 49ers. Then the Bills at 19.67 million. The Eagles at 18.82 million. Vikings, Commanders at 17.68. So, very interesting here as far as, the Lions being the most watched team as far as on average. And I think it's kind of one of those situations where the Lions turn into, I want to say, everybody's sweetheart, kind of like Cinderella story. Can they do it? Can they get it done? And I think that's kind of switched now to maybe the Commanders and the Bills, right? Where's the Cinderella story now? Because we know the Eagles, we know Kansas City, we've seen that before. So the conversation now is, all right, who's the underdog to what, and who's gonna, bring in those kind of viewers? I think there's a lot riding on the Bills, without a doubt. I look at social media, I see all the chatter. There's a lot of people that are putting the NFL on Josh Allen's shoulders to go out here and change things. I'm not sure how that factors into his focus. If I had to be a betting man, I would say it probably doesn't really matter to him. I think he knows the job. I think he understands what he has to do. Someone like, Jaden Daniels, I think he's at the same point, right? Hey, I'm here to prove a point myself. I got a good team. I know what I can do on the field. I know what this squad can do. So I think either way, you have Cinderella stories out of both of them. But, tough task, tall task as far as for the Commanders against the Eagles. And then we know how this situation's probably going to go with the Bills and the Chiefs. It's going to be a movie on Sunday. We'll be here for it. So make sure you guys are locked in here. It's going to be a fun time. We'll be streaming all day. All right, let me go to get into the chat before we keep it going. Let me get into the chat. Shout out to Jay. What up, man? This is another Seahawks Super Bowl ? I don't know. We're going to get into that in a minute. Shout out to you, Reverend. What up, though? Good to see you this morning. Pete Carroll isn't a bad dude. I like him. Yeah, without a doubt. I think Pete Carroll has a special place in, all of our hearts for sure. Make the NFL free again. Very interesting. Old Man Rivers is not very happy about this. Listen, I think there's a lot to be said when it comes to how the NFL is handling things when it comes to the streaming sites and everything like that. I think part of it could be that with so many streaming services that is used to watch regular season games has frustrated its fan base. And so, like I said, I think when we look at the ratings, what I'm seeing from it is we understand that, the ratings are going to be skewed from different various networks because football is kind of shifting away from legacy media. And so now when you spread things so thin, you've got this over on Amazon Thursday nights. You've got Peacock involved for certain, playoff games. You've got Netflix involved now for certain playoff games. And like I said, there's people who only use Netflix. There's people who only use cable. There's people who only use Amazon. And so it's going to kind of skew the numbers, right, in favor for these streaming services and boost their numbers and their back end. But as a whole, if you're an NFL fan who is used to what it was back in the day, you're looking at this like, all right, I wanted to get away from cable. I didn't want to have 13 streaming sites so I could watch all the games, or have NFL Plus and ESPN Plus and all this, all these other things that I need to watch every specific game. And let alone, don't be a true fanatic. Don't be a true fanatic where you have to have Sunday Ticket as well. Well, guess what? Your bill is looking ridiculous at that point, because if you can afford Sunday Ticket, I'm sure you got everything else as well. It's really wild. It's really wild as we keep it going. Jamie says, no chemo this morning since my labs were off, so I needed a little J today. Go Bills. Shout out to you, Jamie. I appreciate you. And I'm glad everything is going well for you. Dan says, I respect Lamar and company, but as a Steelers fan myself, all my life I have nothing but respect for him. Pete Carroll says, Pete Carroll, Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and Jim Harbaugh. Let's go, Pete Carroll. Shout out to you for Fuentes. We're going to get to it. Old man says, it's all about the money, Jay. It's all about the money. Like I said, you would think that the NFL would decide to lower prices to kind of entice people back in. It's not going to happen. They're going to keep increasing the prices. The ticket prices are going to keep going up. The season tickets are going to keep going up. The food prices are going to keep going up. So yeah, at some point you would think there'd be some kind of balance or things will come down. And I don't think it's going to happen until, the fans make a statement. Will they do it though is the question. I don't think they will. I think things will keep going the way they're going. And the NFL is kind of pushing out, the less fortunate individuals and making this game of making this a premium product, which I that's a whole other topic. Is the NFL a premium product now? Let's get into that one. Is the NFL a premium product? Are you okay with spending roughly $1,000 for you and one other individual to go to a game, depending on the market? Tickets, food, drink, $1,000. Your parking probably is in there as well. Yeah. So you and another person, food and a couple drinks, $1,000 to go watch a football game? Few hours? Because I'll tell you this, I think when we talk about concerts and entertainment, we know that the NFL is known as entertainment, right? So they're looking at, okay, well, y'all want to go see Taylor Swift and y'all want to spend $2,000 to $3,000 on a Taylor Swift ticket. You need to go ahead and pay this $1,000 for this Kansas City Chiefs ticket. Just you. Yeah, we want you to pay $1,000 a seat. We want you to pay $300 a seat for the nosebleeds. This is where it's going to start. Jay, it sounds kind of crazy. If it sounds crazy, but guess what? We probably going to start seeing it. And not later, probably sooner. DJ Jean says, but if you only need one subscription, how would they afford their third vacation home? It's a good question. Shout out to The Truth. Says, wasn't my first choice. Raiders are in a 5-year rebuild. Will Pete have time? Will fans have patience? But I like Pete. Shout out to The Truth. It's tough to say because the expectations are very high. We know how things happen when it comes to a rebuilding team, right? We've seen what happened with Sean Payton and the Broncos. And so I think the fans don't have patience that first year, right? They expect good things to happen. We still have to get through the draft, right? We still got to get through the draft. We got to see as far as, trades and things like that. And, who Pete Carroll is really going to have when it comes to a quarterback and, running back and just how this whole team is going to be formed for him. Obviously we know that Tom Brady's involved and that's going to be a big factor too. There's a lot to get into it, but let's go ahead and talk about it. Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into this one.
Carroll and the Raiders now have reached an agreement on a 3-year deal with a fourth-team option. Another veteran, legendary coach has returned. Stephen A., what do you think of Pete Carroll as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders?
I can't sneeze at this. I mean, listen, the man's a Super Bowl champion. I don't know if I'll ever forgive him for having Russell Wilson throw that pass instead of giving the ball to beast mode at the half-yard line. I'll never get over him and Bavell making that decision. But he's obviously an outstanding coach. He was an outstanding coach on the collegiate level. He's an outstanding coach on the pro level. He's experienced. He's young at heart, got a lot of energy. They thought it was time for a change in Seattle, and I don't blame them after how many years was he there? 14 years, I believe. But in the end, what it comes down to is that he does know what he's doing. He does know how to be a head coach and a successful head coach in this league. There's no doubt about that, and the Raiders are in desperate need of that. Somebody experienced that can get things together in Las Vegas, because they certainly have not had that, unfortunately. I was really, really rooting for Antonio Pierce, RC. Got a lot of love for him, but obviously Pete Carroll is far more established, and I think that's what they need in Vegas right now.
And yeah, I agree. So when we talk about Pete Carroll and the fans and what they're going to do as far as having patience, I think you understand what Pete Carroll has brought to the game. I think you understand as far as his experience and his leadership. And, if I'm a Raiders fan, I think I feel good about it. I think I do want to be patient, right? I think I want to let the team develop, and we'll figure out as far as, who Pete Carroll's going to be working with and what this offense and defense is going to have. Let's be honest here. This is a Las Vegas team. We know that, Las Vegas has been trying to make a name for themselves in sports in a huge way, from hockey to football to baseball. I think, Pete Carroll coming in could do some good things for sure. When we look at the experience, we always go back to that game. Why the hell did he have, Russell Wilson throw that ball when you've got Marshawn Lynch? Even if you weren't a Seahawks fan, you sit back and you just feel the pain of that. You just feel, absolutely terrible from what happened if you watch that game. And I think the reality is, coming into, this kind of situation for Pete Carroll, it's good, right? Fresh start, new team. I think decent ownership for the most part, Tom Brady being involved. I think it's going to be a good thing. Let me hop into the chat. Shout out to Caleb Daniels, coming with the $50 super chat. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. $50 super chat this morning. Let's go. Says favorite backup quarterback ever. I'm taking Tavares Jackson or Charlie Whitehurst. Wow. Favorite backup quarterback ever. This is a tough. We talking new. We from back in the day. I think for me, and people may not agree with it. I get it. I gotta go. Ooh. I think I gotta go Josh Johnson. Journeyman, been around. He's shown up a few times. A lot of people like to write him off, but I think, he's shown heart, he's shown grit, he's played for multiple different teams. A lot of teams have overlooked him because, he is a backup quarterback. Good on the feet, can run, decent arm, but I think as far as a favorite backup quarterback ever, I'd have to go with him. Shout out to you, Caleb Daniels. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. Yeah, I'd have to go with him. Ward says, we in Seattle have mad respect for Pete's ability to do what he did here in Seattle. I guess we will see what he does for the Raiders. I agree. Like I said, I think it's going to be one of those situations where you look at what Pete Carroll's experience is, you look at where he's been, what he did for that Seahawks team and how he was loved out there. And, like I said, some fans will have patience, some won't. First year is definitely critical. We see it all the time. Veteran coach comes in, they have a rough start or a bad start, and the fans, want their head. I get it. But I think at the end of the day, Pete Carroll is going to get a little bit more respect coming into this Raiders franchise. We just don't know what kind of team he's going to have. And so it's hard to make that it's kind of hard to make a true prediction of what's going to happen with this team. It's just good that Pete Carroll's there now. And so we understand that there's some light at the end of the tunnel. We just need to really walk down it to get to that point before seeing what's on the other side, without a doubt. Shout out to you, Steve. Good morning, man. Good morning. Says my boss is over my shoulder watching Jay with me. Let's go. Shout out to DJ Jean's boss. Give him a raise. Give him a raise. He's a great individual. Give him a raise. Give him $1 raise. I think that'll be good for him. Gary Edwards says Steve Young. Okay. Mr. Kojak says, Foles came off the bench and he did. We don't forget about Nick Foles. But I think, for me, it's more than just, going out there and having an opportunity in a big game, right? Longevity, all that kind of stuff, how you maneuver through certain teams, actually a backup quarterback, Yeah. Like I said, I like Johnson. Lander says, okay, Jay, please tell me our Bills are finally going to beat KC in the playoffs. Before we get into the next one, if you wasn't here for the prediction video, it is up in the prediction video, so go check it out. But we'll touch on this for a minute. We'll touch on these Bills for a minute before we get into the Pete Carroll. We're jumping around now. I don't like doing that, but I'm in the chat now. I think the world is resting on Josh's shoulders, but he has to go into that game not thinking about it, not worrying about it. And so if you do that, right? If you go into this game not worrying about the outside noise, if you go into this game understanding that you have to step out on that field and just be you and play your game and play it efficiently, nothing can stop you. And I think in the back of Allen's mind, he wants to go out there and be that cowboy and show the world and show these Chiefs that you made a grave mistake not believing that I can do this. And I think he's at that point. Once again, you're one game away from the Super Bowl. You're refined at this point. You're a veteran now. We're looking at this like, okay, you haven't made many mistakes. You've been playing mistake-free football. Now it's the time to turn it up without making mistakes and play mistake-free football. Can he do both? Is the question. Can you turn it up? Because you got to score. The Bills need at least 35 points to win this game. At least. Convincingly. You don't want to get into a low-score, close game with the Chiefs in this championship. Because then, like I said, it then turns into a situation where obviously the refs get involved and you don't want that to happen. You want to put up the points. You want to make the Chiefs trail. And if you can do that, you may get out of Arrowhead with a win and move on to the Super Bowl. That's the reality of it. All right, so let's get into Pete Carroll. It says Pete Carroll and the Las Vegas Raiders have reached an agreement on a 3-year deal with a 4-year team option to be the team's new head coach. Sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter. Carroll, 73, is one of 4 head coaches to have led teams to both a college football national championship and the Super Bowl. The others are Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, and Jim Harbaugh. Carroll, who helped shape USC into a national championship, then went to Seattle over a run that lasted 14 seasons. He led the Seahawks to 10 playoff appearances, 2 conference championships, and the franchise's only Super Bowl win. The Raiders fired Antonio Pierce on January 7th after the team went 4-13 in his first full season as a head coach. Carroll will be the Raiders' 5th head coach since the team relocated to Las Vegas from Oakland in 2020 and their 9th since Mark Davis took over as owner upon the death of his father, Al Davis, in 2011. It's really crazy. They had 5 coaches since 2020? 5 head coaches? I got to go back and look at that. That's really wild. And to be honest, time's moving so fast. It's crazy. It's crazy. We're already 5 years from 2020. It goes on to say Pierce 46 was initially promoted from the linebackers coach to interim head coach when Davis fired Josh McDaniels, who's now with the Patriots, or back with the Patriots, and general manager Dave Ziegler after less than 2 full seasons on Halloween night in 2023. Carroll is the winningest coach in Seahawks history with a record of 137, 89-1, and 10 playoff victories, including his head coaching stints with the Jets and the New England Patriots. His career record is 181, 131-1. The Seahawks mark Carroll's third and by far most successful tenure as an NFL head coach. He lasted 1 season with the Jets, who went 6-10 in 94, and was fired by the Patriots after 3 seasons, having gone 27-21 with 2 playoff appearances. So there you go. Like I said, I think this is going to be good. I think that, the Raiders are going to get things together, obviously, for this team, some trades, go through the draft, see who they pick up. If I'm a Raiders fan, I'm excited for this. I think Pete Carroll is going to bring not only the necessary experience to get this team going in the right direction, but I also think it's going to be a great sign for the Raiders to bring in some key pieces that he can definitely mold and he can work with, create a new light, a new atmosphere for this team, get them going in the right direction. And I think they found their guy. They found their guy. Definitely going to be watching what these Raiders do moving on. Make sure you guys hit the chat. Let me know what you think. Make sure you hit that thumbs up as well. We are currently at, what are we at? 15? Let's try to get to 20, 25, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you hit that thumbs up as we keep it going. Let me get back to the chat. Says Jay, no people are getting paid to watch you. Let's go. Let's go. Bill's going to get to Mahomes early and often, as they should. They need to. Josh has completely grown up as an elite baller. Now stay consistent. He's got this season and hopefully many more. I agree. Without a doubt. The problem with this game is this will be the 4th time the Bills have met with Kansas City in the playoffs. The Bills have lost 3 times to them. You do not want to make it a 4th, because I'll tell you right now, I'm going to tell you what the memes will be before they happen. If the Bills lose a 4th time to Kansas City, the meme will now be, oh, you lost 4 times in the playoffs, just like how you lost 4 Super Bowls. Please don't let this happen, because if that meme drops, I will completely lose my mind. I will, because I'll be the one who knew it was coming. I don't think nobody else is talking about that. You heard it here first. If it happens, you heard it here first. I don't want to see it. Shout out to you, Purple. Good morning to you. Says, I'm learning to decorate cakes. I made a Bills Mafia cake, buttercream frosting mixed with red and blue swirls. It is so good. That actually sounds pretty good. Little Bills Mafia cake with the buttercream frosting. All right. Let's go, Purple, making the cakes. Let's go. Reverend says, well, the game plan came with hiring an ex-Ravens quarterback to play against the Ravens. So do they hire an ex-KC ref to help secure the victory? Hey, we need to bring on the ex-KC ref. We need to know how y'all going to throw these calls as soon as we need to know the exact moment these flags are going to be thrown and how we need to handle Mahomes. I'll be honest with you. If I'm the Bills, I got somebody moving like Mahomes back there. And then I got someone imitating how the refs throw their flags in those moments if I'm the Bills. Vinny says, yo, Jags fan here. It has been an emotional roller coaster as we missed out on Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen. But when Shad fired Bulk, Lynn Cohen drove back to Jacksonville to take the head coaching job. I mean, is it a coaching issue? Right? Is it a coaching issue? I think it's more than that. I know some people are going to be mad at me saying this, but I'm just not sure if Trevor Lawrence is fitting in that scheme. I'm not sure if Trevor Lawrence is the man for that team. And that's not to say that he can't go and be great somewhere else. I'm just not sure if Trevor Lawrence is the man for the job. I get he's a franchise quarterback, but not all franchise quarterbacks work in specific franchises. And for me, I that's just what it seems like. I could be wrong. Maybe it'll be his year next year. We'll see. It says, hey, Jay, Jerry's been Jerry by making Goofy hire. We ain't even talked about the Cowboys hire. We ain't even talked about that yet. Shout out to you, Tactical. What up, man? Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of y'all, or good morning wherever you are. I appreciate you guys as we keep it going. Mr. Kojak says, hey, the cake is good. Remember, thick thighs save lives. Yes, always remember, thick thighs save lives. Speaking of franchise quarterbacks, we need one bad. What if Trevor Lawrence came to the Titans? That'd be crazy, right? And then balled out. Be very interesting. All right, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Very interesting story here. For those who remember, unfortunately, rest in peace to Kyrie Jackson. We now have a new development in regards to this one. Cori Clingman faces 13 charges related to Kyrie Jackson's death. A driver involved in the crash that unalived Minnesota Vikings rookie Kyrie Jackson and 2 others was arrested Thursday and charged with 13 counts, including DUI and criminally negligent vehicular manslaughter, the Prince George's County, Maryland state attorney said. Cori Clingman, who was 23 at the time of the accident, remained in custody as of Thursday evening and will have a bond hearing Friday. Prosecutor Aisha Brayboy said Clingman faces a maximum of 30 years in prison, Brayboy said. This was a horrific tragedy that should have not occurred. Brayboy said, this really just starts our fight to get to justice. The 3-car crash occurred at 3:14 a.m. on July 6, 2024. Isaiah Hazel and Anthony Litton Jr., 2 high school football teammates of Jackson's, were also unalived. Hazel, 23, played at Maryland, and Charlotte Litton, 24, played at Florida State and Penn State. Maryland State Police said last summer that Hazel was driving a Dodge Charger. It's always a damn Dodge Charger. With Jackson in the passenger seat when their car was struck by an Infiniti Q50 driven by Clingman, who was attempting to change lanes at high speed. Clingman's car also struck a Chevrolet Impala. The Charger left the road and struck multiple tree stumps. According to police, Jackson and Hazel were pronounced unalived at the scene, while Litton was transported to a hospital before being pronounced. You see that there on the screen by hospital personnel. Let me stop there for a second. This is sad. It's really sad. It's really unfortunate. We talked about this last year when it first happened, and it's just now that someone has been found, as being the suspect of this crash. Young lives being snuffed out too soon. It's another story, another day that we hear this, and it's really unfortunate. And this time, it wasn't the player's fault, right? You have someone else who was driving a vehicle, obviously intoxicated, and causing someone else to lose their life. And it's always this scenario. It's always this situation where the person who was intoxicated survives and someone else is gone. Someone else has now lost their life, but the person who caused it gets to go on with their life. And yeah, we know they may sit in, prison for the rest of their lives thinking about the issue and the situation that they caused. But it doesn't bring the other person back. And it's really unfortunate as we keep it going. Clingman, the 2 passengers in the car and the driver of the Impala were uninjured. Let me read that to you again. Clingman, the 2 passengers in her car, and the driver of the Impala were uninjured. According to Brayboy, Clingman attended high school with Jackson, Hazel, and Litton, and they had all known each other for a very long time. So not only did you cause the accident, but you've known them for a very long time. Brayboy said Thursday she could not add many details because the investigation is ongoing. She did not reveal Clingman's exact blood alcohol content, but confirmed it was at least above the legal limit of 0.08 in Maryland. Jackson was 1 month away from his 25th birthday at the time of his death. Was the Vikings' 4th round pick in the 2024 NFL draft. He attended spring OTAs and a minicamp and endeared himself to a veteran team. with his enthusiasm and confidence. The Vikings donated $20,000 towards expenses for Jackson's funeral and also paid out his $827,148 signing bonus to his estate. Absolutely amazing, without a doubt. And kudos to the Vikings for looking out for the family. Says a contingent of players and staff members attended his funeral, during which Coach Kevin O'Connell was one of the featured speakers. Players wore a KJ sticker on the back of their helmets throughout the season, while coaches and staff members wore pins with the same initials. So yeah, fortunately, there is someone who's been caught for this, and hopefully, justice will be had for the family. And shout out to the Vikings for looking out for the family, making sure they're taken care of. It's sad. It's sad because no amount of money obviously can bring back the individual, but I'm sure the family is glad that the Vikings chose to do something and make sure that they weren't completely out there and stuck due to this, loss of life. So there you go. Says, thank you. It was a hard time for a long time. Still, don't get me wrong. Says, with the alternative ride options available today, there are zero excuses to get behind the wheel of a car intoxicated. We had this conversation, 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago? There's no excuse for it, right? You have the options out here. It's literally you pick up your phone. You pick up your phone. If you don't have the app downloaded, someone else does. If you do have the app downloaded, which I'm sure you do, use it. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. Get yourself an Uber, and stay off the road if you're driving intoxicated. So, really unfortunate. Really unfortunate. Let me hop into the chat as we keep it going. What happened to the chat? Please stop drinking and driving. I agree. Says that absolutely no excuses. Me and my girls go out once a month. We always chip in for the Uber, right? It's very simple. Me and the old lady will go out, right? If we go out, hey, we're gonna be out. Let's go to get that Uber. If we had a little bit too much to drink, let's go and get that Uber, and we good. That's it. $20, $22, depending on where you're going. All right, maybe during prime time. You may got to pay that surge price. All right, a little $30. Guess what? That $30 is going to save you attorney fees. That $30 is going to save you maybe potentially somebody's life. That $30 is going to save you all the hassle and pain than you getting in that vehicle, and then costing yourself or maybe someone else a lot more than what it's worth. So Tyrone says, when will people learn? No sympathy for me. I agree. We'll have no sympathy for people who cause these kind of situations. Not at all. Shout out to you, Reverend. Says, in my days of partying, I always used one of my younger cousins to be the driver. I would fill the car, give them cash, and tell them when to be back. They would drop me off at home and return the AM. Without a doubt. Being sensible, being responsible, understanding, hey, I can't do this. Or, hey, I don't need to put myself up at risk. And like I told y'all before, I'm very transparent, right? We're all young. We make mistakes. But I also think at the end of the day, we hear a lot of these stories. A lot of people are traveling at high rates of speed. They're going 100 miles per hour. They're going 90 miles per hour. And it's like me back then, I'm just trying to make it home. I'm trying to make it home safe. I'm not trying to get pulled over. I'm not trying to, deal with the issues. And then, you grow up. All right, I ain't doing that again because I already know what time it is. Some of these people, unfortunately, it's too late for them to grow up because they get themselves in these kind of situations. But hopefully someone is able to learn from it and learn from this tragedy and move on, without a doubt. All right, next up, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to it, Quinshon Judkins, the Ohio State Buckeyes running back, will be leaving early for the NFL draft. Let's get into this one. It says Ohio State running back Quinshon Judkins is leaving school early and will declare for the NFL draft, he told ESPN. His addition to the 2025 draft marks another high-end tailback, as Judkins projects as the top 50 pick per NFL scouts and ranks as the number 5 overall running back in the upcoming draft in Mel Kiper Jr.'s position rankings. Judkins spent a lone season at Ohio State and left as a national championship, and his decision comes off a dazzling 3-round touchdown performance in Ohio State's victory over Notre Dame on Monday night. Judkins ran for 100 yards on 11 carries and scored 2 rushing touchdowns. He caught 2 passes for 21 yards and a touchdown. I love this. I really do, right? You give your best year with Ohio State, you ball out, you get a national championship. All right, I did my job. It's time to move on to the pros. Go get paid. I love it. I think Quinshon Judkins has definitely been huge for Ohio State. I think he's definitely been huge in college football without a doubt. Just the powerful running, hard running, getting through gaps, being able to catch the ball as well. Nice little dual threat situation there. I think Quinshon Judkins will be a huge pickup wherever he goes for whatever NFL team, and I think this is great for him as well. Keep it going. Says, my time here at Ohio State was like no other. Judkins told ESPN in a phone interview, it was like no other place I'd ever been. I enjoyed my time here so much. I'm ready to take the next step in my journey and prove I'm the best running back in the draft class. On the season in Columbus, he ran for 1,060 yards, caught 22 passes for 161 yards, and scored 16 touchdowns for the Buckeyes. Judkins split carries at Ohio State with senior tailback Travion Henderson, who is Kiper's number 9 tailback prospect. Judkins said his time at Ohio State helped prepare him for the next step, as he saw value being around so many NFL players and bonding together to win. Goes on in quote, says, my coaches helped so much take my game to the next level and develop me into a better player, he said. It was a super beneficial mentality to have being a pro. It helped me so much in that aspect. Playing around the best players in the country, you get to compete against the best players. It helped me sharpen my tools. So there you go. Quinshon Judkins will move on to the NFL. Being around Ohio State, that's one of the best football programs in the nation. We know that. When I think about college football, you can't not put Ohio State in the conversation when it comes to, college football on a yearly basis and who's going to be in that top 10 or who's going to be potentially in that championship. And, them getting another one, putting another belt, and having someone like Travion Henderson right along with you and Quinshon Judkins, definitely without a doubt, him moving on is going to be great for the league and great for himself as well. So definitely deserves top dollar, though, so we'll see. We'll see where he goes and see, how it ends up. Speed's going to change. The game is going to change. The learning curve is going to come at you fast. But congratulations to Quinshon Judkins. We'll see where he gets picked up, and we'll obviously talk about that during the NFL draft for sure. So make sure you guys are here for it. Reverend says, I like it if he can still finish his education. I agree. Shout out to you, Tactical. Says, get that education. Plan B is always good to have. No pun intended. I caught that, Purple. I caught it. Not too many people ain't going to catch that. Yeah, without a doubt, right? As much as the NFL dreams and the money and the aspiration is the desire, definitely make sure that you have that plan B times 2 and put yourself in a good light and a good shine as far as, with education as well. Tyrone says, spend the money wisely, take correspondence courses for insurance, and please find the appropriate mentor, right? Find that right person that is going to help you get to the next level. Find that right person that is going to help you stay out of trouble. Find that right person who is going to show you the ins and outs of what not to do and what to do, and have that etiquette coming into this league, right? We know that not everybody's a bad apple, but sometimes others can be influenced, and sometimes others just, don't have that proper guidance. So hopefully he does get it. Hopefully he already has it. And hopefully he can keep it going, without a doubt. Steve, I am doing both games on Sunday. I will be resting up on Saturday night. So there you go. Shout out to the old lady. If you listening, we going to go to bed early Saturday night. Dan says, I desire education if it wasn't drama infused. Where's education drama infused? Drop it in the chat. Ohio State absolutely marched to the Natty and got it done. I can't think of a better college team right now, without a doubt. Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Texas, you could just tell. Even with Texas was balling. But they just couldn't handle Ohio State on both sides of the ball, for sure. So, I think it was only right. We know that Notre Dame played with heart, but the only thing that beats heart is elite talent. So, and I think that's what, Notre Dame ran into when it came to the championship. So, Tactical says, Jay, I think the Ja Morant and his story as a tale to look at what you don't do. We talked about Ja Morant. What was that? Was that 2 years ago? We talked about that story? If I can't remember, I think it was 2 years ago. We covered that story 2 years ago, and we talked about it. Man, how does time fly? James Moore has this up, Jay. What are your thoughts on the Pete Carroll hire by the Raiders? I like it. We just talked about it. I like it. I think it's going to be great. I think, like I said, it's a little too early as far as expectations, because we just don't know as far as what kind of team he's going to have. So we'll break it down, right? We'll break it down as far as these Raiders, like we always do. We break down all 32 teams before we get into the preseason. So once we go through the draft and all that good stuff, which we'll be streaming as well, once we get to the draft and all that good stuff, we'll know exactly what's going to happen with these Raiders and who they're going to pick up and how this team will be shaped and molded, and then we'll have a good idea as far as what Pete Carroll is going to work with, and we'll go from there. But good morning to you, bro. Shout out to you, Gay Smasher. Says, hey, Jay, stopping by, hitting the thumbs up. Says, taking a break from the freezing cold weather here in Cedar Key, Florida, Bills Mafia country. Listen, it's still cold down there? Man, it's crazy. He's gotten himself straightened up, I believe. I agree. I think he's been doing much better. Y'all know we get into the NBA right around like June, right? Right after, March Madness and all that stuff, we start transitioning over to the NBA. Y'all know me. We've been all NFL. I haven't paid any attention to college and NBA. So when we dive into March Madness, it's a crash collision course on who's doing what and what's doing what. But y'all know I get it going like that. And then we flip over to the NBA, same kind of way. We get into it, get into the playoffs, and then the final NBA finals. So we'll see what happens. Says, the way that education is moving toward, I'm afraid that we are quickly moving toward a day where good higher education is going to become a delicacy again. You know what? And this is a topic that I think we can get to one of these days. I think that, and it's very difficult to say this because I like to think that public school can still work, but I think eventually we're going to see homeschooling become a major thing in the next 5 to 10 years. I think homeschooling is definitely going to become a major thing due to just what's going on in public schools, when it comes to safety, when it comes to learning environment, all that kind of stuff. I think when it comes down to education, I think it's going to be vastly different from what we were used to in the next 5 to 10 years, for sure. As far as Pete, here's my thought. We just recently moved into a new house. Now that pictures are being hung up, it is becoming a home. Until Pete gets pieces in place, it will only be a house. Exactly. Right? You gotta let that beautiful woman come in there and hang up them pictures and put that furniture in place and hang up them drapes and them curtains and go in there and put up them pictures on the wall and get everything going as far as in the kitchen and put up them pots and pans and all that kind of stuff, right? And that's where the Raiders are. You need to get all them pieces going and get that house fixed up, and then we'll be able to go in there and look at it and be in awe of that marble countertop and that stone sink and all that. the decor. Once we get to that point, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Ward says, get in the 40 and pull you up area from the mid-20s. Wow. Yeah, it's still cold here. We got some snow last night. Like I said, I got to get out there in a little while and get that snow blower working. But I got to eat first. Your boy Jay hungry. Your boy Jay a little hungry. Cold for me. These days are only supposed to be 70. Y'all got some snow down there. Vaughn says Pete is washed up. He needs to retire. Define washed up. Because washed up to me means you can't execute your job at all. Right? You just can't do nothing. Nothing's working for you. Everything's that spark, that magic is gone. The sparkle is gone in your eye. You don't have it in you. I'll tell you right now. If I see Pete Carroll coming out there chewing that gum slow and not with as much intensity, I'll say you might be right. But if Pete Carroll's on that sideline chewing that gum with fierce intent, like he's a madman waiting for his food to get done and he's starving, if I see Pete Carroll chewing that gum like he's starving on the side of that field, I think the man still got it. We'll have to wait and see. My Titans have a hazmat warning on the side of their house. You can't come in here. You can't come in here. Hazmat warning. 51 in Tampa. All right. I mean, that actually ain't too bad right now. We've been seeing some cold days in Florida for sure. I've been down there when it was cold. Little frost on the windows. Little frost in the windows. Says cold for yeah, 70. Says Pete is 73. Nick Saban is 73. Yeah, I thought about why Nick Saban didn't decide to go to the NFL. Right? He did such magical things. And I said, well, maybe, him leaving the college game, he'll go to the NFL. And we didn't see it. So, hey, we'll see what Pete does. I'm not going to write him off. Hey, y'all was about ready to write off C.J. Stroud. Look what he did. Back-to-back playoffs. Back-to-back playoffs. So there you go. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to y'all. The morning show. This weekend is going to be crazy. This weekend is going to be absolutely crazy. Like I said, Saturday, rest and relaxation. Prepare yourselves for Sunday because we're going to be here for 8 hours. We're going to be here for 8 hours, y'all. From 3 o'clock to about 10:30, 11. So make sure that you got your rest. Make sure that you've calmed yourself. Make sure you got your nerves in order and in check because it's going to be one of them days. But I'll tell you right now, I am calm. I'm confident. I'm not worried. I still feel the same as last week. And that should tell you something. That should tell you something. I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm focused. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. So there you go. Jay, do you remember Saban signed Miami? I think that's the deal. Yeah. And well, like I say, you just never know. You never know. Fuentes says, "Who is that by Pete Carroll?" Oh, that's the individual from the car crash. Tactical says, "I'm worried about the referees, Jay. Beat them and you don't have to worry about it. Beat the Chiefs, put up the points. You don't got to worry about the refs. You only got to worry about the refs if you can't score." So there you go. Vaughn says Saban really needs to go because he became a college football. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Pete's mind is still 40-ish. If you've ever been around him, he's still sharp. And I think that's the most important part, right? If you're still sharp, if you're still committed to it, if you still got the fight and the hunger in you, you're going to go out there and get the job done. Reverend says it's a regular TV. I'm tired of not having the games to watch on local television stations. It's frustrating. If I'm not mistaken, Fox and CBS. So Commanders, Eagles will be on Fox. Bills, Chiefs will be on CBS and Paramount Plus. So yeah. Get that flag counter ready. Yeah, we'll do the flag counters for the games. We'll have the flag counter ready. Without a doubt. Saban reminds me of those Power Rangers. What? The Power Rangers. That's crazy. So there you go. I appreciate y'all. Have yourself a great Friday. It's lunchtime. I got to go grab me some food. But with that said, we'll put up the clips for you guys just in case you didn't see it later on, and we'll keep it going. Keep it going. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for the love and support. Shout out to you, Destiny. Bills Mafia in the house, and maybe we'll hop on tomorrow, right? See what's going on tomorrow. Maybe do a little pre-show for the championship weekend. We'll see. Keep y'all updated. In the meantime, have a great Friday. Enjoy your morning. Enjoy your afternoon. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.